Saudi Arabia's foreign minister has arrived in Damascus. It's the first visit by a Saudi official there in more than a decade, and it's the latest step towards reintegrating President al-Assad into the Arab world. Prince Faisal bin Farhan arrived just hours after the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated his call for normalisation with Riyadh. Netanyahu was speaking during talks with the US Republican Senator Lindsey Graham in Jerusalem. Graham himself met the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Riyadh just last week. Let's take a listen.
I told Saudi Arabia I'd like to upgrade our relationship. We have to do it in a way that would be reassuring to our friends in Israel. I want to help President Biden. I told the Crown Prince that the best time to upgrade the relationship is now. That President Biden is very interested in normalizing relationships with Saudi Arabia, and in turn Saudi Arabia recognizing the one and only Jewish state.
We want normalization and peace with Saudi Arabia. We view that as perhaps the giant leap forward towards ending the Arab-Israeli conflict. This agreement could have monumental consequences, historic consequences, both for Israel, for Saudi Arabia, for the region, for the world.
Well, what you want and what you get aren't always the same thing, are they? To talk more about that, we're joined by Abdallah Al-Junaid, the Bahraini economist and geopolitical analyst. Great to have you with us, Abdallah. And Hussein Abdul Hussein is a research fellow at the FDD, the Foundation for the Defence of Democracy. It's great to see you as well, Hussein. So, Hussein, I'll start with you. That picture there of the Saudi foreign minister walking side by side with Bashar al-Assad, that is exactly where the Israeli Prime Minister would like to be standing right now. It's not quite going as planned, is it?
Well, it doesn't have to be so. I think if Saudi Arabia improves its relations with Iran and with Assad and with all the militias that rotate in the orbit of Iran and Assad, I think that will make it easier for Saudi Arabia to sue for peace with Israel. Just keep in mind that a country like Turkey that has excellent ties with Iran or Russia or any one of these actors that we just named. Turkey does have strong ties with Israel at the same time, and Turkey doesn't get any criticism from Iran for having strong ties. And the same thing applies to the UAE, which is on good terms with Iran as well. So reviving ties, if Saudi Arabia revives ties with Iran and Assad, that makes things easier for the Saudis to sue for peace with Israel, not harder.
Abdallah, what do you make of it? Are the Saudis taking a leaf out of the UAE's diplomacy handbook?
In a way, it is totally different. We're talking about Saudi Arabia now, and very soon, in a few weeks, we'll have the Arab Summit that's going to take place in Saudi Arabia, although the city where it's going to take place hasn't been, defined yet or specified, but definitely we'll hear that soon. But we also have seen, shroud of a different diplomacy, messages were going forth and back between Riyadh and Damascus. I'm sure, in a way, that Saudi Arabia have put certain conditions for the, bringing in Syria into the Arab fold. And before that, I wouldn't imagine that the Saudi foreign minister will venture into a trip to Damascus. Now, how far is that will be welcomed? Yes, it falls within the general scope or the immediate need for stabilizing the Middle East, and ending this conflict in Syria plays a major role.
Hussein, what do you make of that? And at the same time, we need to talk about Iran in all of this, don't we? Because Iran and Saudi Arabia are, of course, also building on their ties. Just to recap, Iran has invited King Salman to visit Tehran. Iran also says it wants each country to open their respective embassies by May 9th. Do you see a genuine warming of ties and a genuine shift in diplomacy in the region?
Well, even if this is genuine, there are no guarantees that this keep going in the direction that it's going. I'm old enough to remember that Saudi Arabia made up with Assad in 2009. and then things went sour again. And the same thing applies to Iran. The Saudis and the Iranians have patched up and made up and restored the relations so many times, only to break down months or years after that. So there are no guarantees that what we see now is a fixed track for any one of these countries. And we know that the alliances change in the region all the time. So at this point, I think Saudi Arabia is trying to minimize its problems with neighbors, all of its neighbors. I think this is part of a zero problem policy that Riyadh thinks can help transform the economy from one relying on oil to one relying on services. With this said, it doesn't mean that Saudi Arabia will have to toe the line of Iran on Israel or just behave like Assad wants things to be in the region. So at this point, I think everyone is making nice, but everyone at the same time is still holding on to the regional line, to the regional thinking and policies. And there might be some time where these policies might clash again.
Abdullah, Lindsey Graham said yesterday that the window's closing in terms of getting the Saudis to normalise ties with Israel, because next year the US will be focused on its own domestic elections. Do you agree with that? Is the window closing?
Why are the Saudis dragging their feet? Can I just comment on what Hussein said before I go back? Yeah. I believe that there is I would say it's a consensus by the Western approach to understanding or reading correctly what took place between Iran and Saudi Arabia. First of all, Iran was the party who approached Saudi Arabia via China, and it was declared. The Saudis put one condition. If China is willing to step in as the guarantor of Iran in this deal, by all means, they're going to engage Iran at that level and based on that condition. And if we're going to continue seeing this as something, that we're going to go and just sign false promises by Iran again, everybody is mistaken. Iran going to be answering to China, not to us or the international community. And this agreement covers more than what it was, declared.
Oh, all right, Hussein. Now, go on, Abdullah.
With regard to your question, it's not that the question of normalizing with Israel is on the table or otherwise. What's need to be, Saudi Arabia have already hosted Mahmoud Abbas and Hamas in Saudi Arabia, because for us the reconciliation between the Palestinians is vital. Without that, nothing could be achieved, and the Israelis will not accept negotiating two-part deals. Just 1 second.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Laura, and my question to the Israelis, are the Israelis ready to give the Saudis and the Palestinians what they need for the normalization? I don't think the Israelis are ready.
All right, Hussein, 20 seconds. Could you respond?
Well, it doesn't have to be that the Israelis give first. They can give second. So maybe we start with peace, and peace leads to a Palestinian state. It's not written engraved in stone that this is the order of things.
All right, Hussein Abdullah Hussein. And Abdullah Al-Junaid, gentlemen, I'm afraid we've run out of time. We could keep it going much longer, I'm sure, but thank you very much indeed to you both.